So after that initial experience of having to go to Ateneo, and you didn't really like enjoy that experience of yours because you didn't expect to play volleyball in Ateneo. You didn't have any like thought of even being there. But what
Mhm.
finally made you decide to, move from Manila? I moved from Canada to Manila.
I guess it was actually, it didn't happen right away because when I went there, I was grade 11, right? So I still had to finish grade 12 and then I would decide. But when I went there, I, what happened? Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about Ateneo still until I was first year university here. So what happened was I went to college here in Canada for 1 year, and I was okay with that, and I was happy with that decision after graduating high school to go to Canada. I mean, to go to university in Canada. But then I got injured again, my second ACL tear. So that was the biggest influence, I think. I guess the way that the school and my experience with that university that I went to, it wasn't that great. And having a re-injury and a re-tear of my ACL was definitely a big factor of me um, giving Ateneo another chance or looking at that as another opportunity to help myself. My experience with rehab in my other school wasn't as great, and I didn't feel as connected with the university. So yeah, I mean, and then I guess Sir Ricky, he is the one who heard about me getting re-injured from my second ACL, and then he flew here and had dinner with my dad and I, and just said, "Oh, if she wants to do rehab in the Philippines, you have a great program, and we're willing to still take her." Despite her second injury. And I was like, oh, well, maybe, because it's hard to keep up with the universities here. There's so much, there's the level is a little bit different. So I just felt I wouldn't be able to catch up to these girls. And I just thought maybe Ateneo could be a fresh start for me.
Wow. It's amazing how one negative experience can eventually turn into a positive, because you're telling us that it was actually the injury that
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like gave you the idea that you wanted to restart. And like when we say restart, we're talking about you restarting your life somewhere else, halfway across the world. And that's not easy for anybody to do. July 11, 2015. I'm sure it's a date that you and your family will always remember. And for us people who covered you and volleyball, you were warming up for Ateneo in the Shakey's V League, and in a freak turn of events, you hurt your right knee. And this was the knee that was supposed to be strong, because this knee was the one that wasn't previously injured. But I want to focus on what happened after that. There's this picture that went viral, and it's a picture of you with your arms over the shoulders of your brother Vince and Eliza Valdez. And Eliza was, had that familiar smile on her face, looking at you, trying to comfort you. Well, when you think of that moment and having those people pick you up when you were down again, what type of memories does it bring back?
Um, oh, first of all, I'm surprised. Thanks again for also knowing the exact date and everything, because I even don't remember the date, honestly, but I remember the day. And I think having that whole experience, I when it happened, it was very fast, but it's still also stuck in my memory for a long time up until now. And I really just remember feeling like, oh, my knee like broke in half or like dislocated or something. I didn't think it was ACL. I thought it was like, so it's always painful for me whenever it happens. So um, seeing the picture and looking back at it, I guess the good side was that there were people supporting me, and that the school was so um, helpful and just welcoming and understanding with everything, and having Atalay there to help pick me up as well, and my brother was definitely something that I'll always look back at and be so thankful for, that they're always supporting me. And I just think that that day is something that definitely also changed a big part of my life. And it'll always be something that kind of triggers me, or it kind of makes me anxious thinking about it. But it also has brought me to where I am now. So I'm just also thankful for that day.
Well, coming back from a major injury like tearing your ACL isn't easy. I mean, it's an ACL injury. It's for some it's career ending, but for you I think it's career changing. Life
Yeah,
changing,
that's a good point. Or
right?
a good way to, yeah.
It takes a toll on you, I'm sure physically, mentally and emotionally on all levels. But having to go through it 3 times and having to make a comeback is just unheard of. I mean, it's not just inspirational. You don't have words for it. I mean, having 3 ACL injuries and in a span of how many years? What did it take for you to overcome what would seem like a career-ending injury?
I guess the way I look at it is that every time I got injured, there was always something that happened for me and something that I learned from it. Um, I guess with the first injury, I was still very young. I was only grade 12, and I kind of was I didn't really take my body like I didn't treat my body as well as I should have, and I was taking it for granted. And I guess having every time I'd get injured, I would always become more grateful for what I have and how I'm able to play this sport. But I guess having to overcome all of those was definitely not easy. And I don't think I can say that I was optimistic every ACL injury, or that I was always looking forward to playing even after the first, second, or actually the first and second, I was still very motivated to play. Still, I thought, oh, I'll bounce back from this. But by the third, I was definitely at a point where I was like, oh, volleyball isn't for me anymore. Maybe I moved to the Philippines for something else. I was at a point where I was scared to even jump, or even see other players jump as well, because I got that trauma or that fear. And I guess it's kind of weird for me to think of it's just an injury, right? Like everyone gets injured. But I think I got to a point where it's just too many consecutively, and it was like back to back to back. So I just had to really learn to kind of accept what life throws at me, and um, be consistent in my rehab despite continually getting injured. I guess that by the third ACL injury, I think the thing that I learned most was how to be patient.
Thank you for watching Volleyball DNA. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to get notified for future episodes and interview highlights.
And while you're at it, head over to our Facebook page by clicking on the link in the description.